Hey there everybody, how you doing? It's me again, although I don't really know why it would be anybody else because I'm the only person that operates this here channel thing. Anyhow, I'm recording on my laptop webcam again because I will be using my mobile device for a portion of this demonstration. This is another phone-related video. But today we're not talking about a phone, we're talking about a vintage answering machine. Specifically, as the title would suggest, a vintage AT&T Telehelper-2100 from the mid-1980s. I saw a newspaper edition for some newspaper in Greenville, South Carolina from November of 1984 with this answering machine, along with a couple of other AT&T phones and computer and video game related equipment because it's the mid-1980s and woo! Computer games and videos. Computers and video games, right? Mid-1980s, good stuff. Anyhow, this was on sale. This was not the retail price, but it was on sale for $99.90 something, so basically $100, which I believe in 1984 was in 2016 about $230 and some change. So while this was definitely not the most expensive thing that you could buy at the time, definitely a bit more of a luxury for back then than, answering machines are now, because heck, answering machines are kind of phased out these days by the built-in digital answering services provided with phone companies. Now, as you might be able to tell, well, as you can tell now, this particular answering machine is one of those answering machines that use two full-size cassettes, rather than the answering machines that use one microcassette or one full-size cassette, where the caller would have to hear the greeting and then sit through a long sequence of repetitive beeps, beep, 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 and that would drive them crazy. And then finally, beep, and they could record a message and they probably forgot what they were going to say because they had to sit there and listen through so many dadgum beeps because the answering machine had to fast forward to the next available spot on the tape because, of course, the greeting is at the beginning of the tape. Now, apparently there are some answering machines that have a digital system for the outgoing greeting and it records the message on a single tape. That's fine. That's cool. That's efficient. That's neat. That's nice. I've not seen an answering machine like that. I actually used to have excuse me. another AT&T answering machine. I don't remember the model number, but it was actually one of those answering machines that used a single microcassette. Not efficient, but I did like the machine. Unfortunately, it's in answering machine heaven now. So, now, the thing with these full-size cassette answering machines, I don't know if it's like no, it's not like this with every answering machine because I seen a video proving it. With this particular answering machine, the outgoing message tape has to be an endless loop like this one. This is a TDK 30-second endless machine, endless cassette. And the reason it has to be an endless cassette is because these don't require take-up, because it's just a loop inside of a cassette. And this answering machine does not have any take-up. So while it'll certainly record and play on a standard cassette, it won't rewind because it does not have that. And it additionally does not have any take-up, so the cassette will just wind up spilling, and you'll wind up sacrificing a tape to the machine, which is no fun. Now, I'll show you, I'll bring this up in the hopes that you can see it. The outgoing cassette message compartment is really rather simple. It's just a capstan and a pinch roller, a playback, record, and erase head, yes, a 3-in-1 head, as well as a foil sensor. Because these endless loops are like the 8-track, in that when the loop comes around to the foil, it triggers the answering machine to either stop playing or stop playing and begin recording a message. This particular example is a fully functioning example. Before I forget, there's a couple of things about this machine that I do not like. Remember, nothing in this world is perfect. There will be drawbacks to everything. There is absolutely nothing that is 100% perfect. There are two things about this machine that I do not like. For one, the line cord that you plug into your phone line is hardwired. This means if the cord shorts out, USOL! Of course, you could probably take apart the machine and solder a new cord on, but I'm sure that's a pain in the neck. But that is made up for the fact that it does have a built-in splitter so that you can connect the phone to the machine and you don't have to buy a splitter. Another thing I don't like about this machine, and you might have noticed it, is the speakers on the underside. So, of course it'll still sound decent because it's a decent-sized speaker, but the sound does not carry, obviously, because the machine is sitting on the desk and the sound travels directly to the desk and kind of comes out under the machine throughout the sides and stuff. It's just not good. It would have been a lot better if it was on the top or even the front. But other than that, other than those shortcomings, that's really it. That's all I don't like about this machine. Now, there are some things that make it a generally low-quality recorder, but given the fact that it's only supposed to record messages and phone calls, yes, it can record phone calls by design, it doesn't really matter. It is not only a DC bias recording machine, but as we will soon discover, with a nice classical music tape. Oops, I put the tape in the wrong side. This machine certainly does have quite a bit of wow and flutter. And hi-fi playing sound! Woo! Audiophiles rejoice! Anyhow, something else about this machine. Oh, this is another shortcoming that it can be handy. Whenever the cassette lid is open, the cassette head, the playback heads for both cassettes on here are pushed back. But when the lid is closed, the head is engaged a bit more. That way, when you fast forward and rewind, the tape is in contact with the head, which can be annoying if you don't really want to hear that all the time. Not only that, but it also will certainly wear out the heads a bit faster, but it's okay because you could just leave the cassette lid open when you're rewinding and fast forwarding, which is what I do anyhow. Let's record a memo on this machine so that you can hear the way it records with the built-in microphone. It's actually, honestly, not that bad to be a DC bias machine. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, recording a memo on the vintage AT&T Telehelper-2100 answering machine from 1985. DC bias test. And we will listen to the machine. Well, listen to the recording made by the machine. It's not that bad. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, recording a memo on the vintage AT&T Telehelper-2100 answering machine from 1985. DC bias test. Now, so there is a little bit of splatter, but it's not really that much. And you can't really hear the background noise too much using the internal speaker. Now, I'm taking this tape out because I'm switching to the mode that allows you to record phone calls and also to record incoming messages. We're going to demonstrate phone call recording capabilities on this machine. Now, before I go along with that, I will mention that I did wind up getting an OBI device, an OBI box for this machine for my landline phone setup. And yes, I know I'm not pronouncing it the right way. They call it OB, and I guess that's how everybody else would pronounce it, but I'm not, because it sounds weird to me, and I'm not. And deal with it, because deal with it. I guess it's kind of like the Technics thing, where it's supposed to be pronounced techniques, like that's their goal, well, not their goal, but their idea, the brand's idea that it was supposed to be pronounced techniques, but again, I pronounce Technics, I've always said Technics, and that's the way it's gonna be. You can't change me, I'm stubborn! Anyway, let's pick up this phone. OBI does get the dial tone right, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my video on the Cell 2 jack. We'll begin recording, commence recording. And we will dial a special number. Oops. Oh, well, we can dial this. It's gonna dial another number, but it's okay, whatever. Oop! And, yeah, sometimes it happens. Not sure what happened there. Seems to be a Google Voice thing. Oh well, we'll try the number that I was gonna dial anyway. Let me mute the phone so that I can talk without this thing going nuts.
Now powered by 24/7.
Weather.
Weather.
That's fun. And of course it's recording this.
While I get your forecast for Concord, North Carolina.
It's gonna get the forecast for Concord. Nice place.
Say stop to interrupt this forecast.
No.
At 7:39 p.m., it's 89 degrees with a slight breeze.
It's just a service that I've known about for quite a while.
64.
It's a nice little service.
Mostly sunny skies.
It's fun to use. And it'll hang up. Well, when you hang up the phone, it'll stop recording. So, that's fun. I don't really know what that static thing was all about. Sometimes Google Voice will do that. But we can play this back.
Hi, welcome to the information line. Now powered by 24/7.
Weather.
So obviously it'll record both sides of the phone call with no issue at all. So now what I'm going to do, we're going to move on to demonstrating the capabilities, the message recording capabilities of this device. Now I powered off the device, and the reason I like to typically power off the device before I switch it to the phone line recording mode is because when I turn it off, switch it to that mode, and then turn it back on, instead of rewinding the message tape, it does this.
Greetings to you, whoever you may be. You've reached my number, and you also have the honor of leaving a message on my vintage AT&T Telehelper-2100 answering machine from 1985.
Yeah, it'll just play the outgoing thing. Now, the nice thing about this machine is if you have a tape that's 30 seconds or whatever, and your greeting does not quite reach 30 seconds, you do have the option of stopping the recording before the tape comes back to the beginning. The way you record, I'm not going to demonstrate this because I'm not about to re-record the greeting, but the way you do this is you hold down the record button, and then when you're done recording, you just simply let it off. And what it'll do, if you don't record all the way throughout the entire tape, is it'll put a beep on the tape, and then it'll detect that beep and start recording the message. But I don't like doing that, and I'll explain why in the message that I leave. Now the nice thing about the OBI is it does have enough REN to ring all my two phones. Oh, come on, phone. Trying to put it on speaker. There we go. So of course the outgoing quality does work. Well, not quality, but the outgoing sound does work.
Too bad. Deal with it because I told you. Anyway, when you leave a message, let me know when you're calling because this machine does not put time stamps on the tape. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day or morning or night or whatever.
Now, one thing I want to say is, I don't know, my phone service is weird. Typically, Yeah, the beep is much louder than the beep that you heard over the phone. It just does weird things when it's on speaker. So the beep is not quiet like you heard in the video. I just want to get that clear. Everything is absolutely honky-dory and it works. But the reason that I prefer to use the entire endless loop to record a greeting is because if I don't, after it detects that beep that it puts on the tape, if you don't use the entire loop to record, it'll start recording the message, but then after you finish recording the message, it'll keep on playing the endless loop. So the pinch roller and the head of the endless loop cassette system engages 2 times more than it would if you just went ahead and recorded your greeting on the entire endless loop. So that's why I like doing that. Now the nice thing about this machine, which does make it compatible with the Cell 2 jack, is it'll obviously stop recording when somebody hangs up and the line disconnects, but if you stop talking after about 10 seconds it'll quit recording. So what I'm going to do is mute my cell phone and turn this up so that you can hear the beep when it stops recording, which it will shortly. Like that. And so now you can switch to playback mode and go back and listen to the message that we recorded, and of course it records as good. It'll keep on playing the endless loop. So the pinch roller and the head of the endless loop cassette system engages 2 times more than it would if you just went ahead and recorded your greeting on the entire endless loop. So it records quite well for it to be a DC bias machine, and of course the wow and flutter issue isn't really an issue because it's primarily intended to record and playback voice. So really, getting rid of the wow and flutter as well as adding AC bias would not only hike the manufacturing costs, but it would already make a slightly unaffordable machine even more so, and it's just not necessary. Now, 2 more features of this machine that I want to talk about is you can, of course, set it to pick up after 2 and 4 rings, and something else you can make it do with another switch that's right next to it is you can have it set to only play the outgoing message, have it set to record a message for a short amount of time, I think it's 1 minute before it'll just stop recording, or have it set to record a message until the person hangs up, stops talking, or the cassette just runs out. So that's fairly nice. So yeah, in conclusion, this is quite a nice machine, and I'm glad to have been able to find it. I like it. I like these vintage answering machines. If anybody else has this machine or any other vintage answering machines, talk to me about it. It's cool stuff. And before I go, if I didn't say this already, I'm pretty sure I did, I still do recommend the Cell 2 jack because it is nice to be able to use your cell phone with a landline phone, but as for a complete landline replacement, the OBI fares quite a bit better because not only will it ring more phones than the Cell 2 jack will, because the Cell 2 jack wouldn't even ring my AT&T and my Western Electric. It would just do this funky thing where it'd pick up the call. But the call quality is a little bit better. The quality on the Cell 2 jack is not bad, but the quality on the OBI thing is quite a bit better. It's just as good, pretty much, as a standard phone line or a VoIP line being provided by Verizon Fios or Charter Spectrum or anything, because it's the same principle. You're using a voice over IP service. If you do want to know about the Cell 2 jack, though, and what I think of it, I do have a video up there as well. In fact, it's the last video I uploaded as of this recording. It's the one that I uploaded before this one. I still do recommend it, but the OBI is a better... Shush, desktop! It's a better landline replacement. So yeah, that's all I got for you folks today. I hope you enjoyed this video, this presentation thing. Later.